He was the poorest man in the kingdom, until the night the spirits chose him. In the kingdom of Aduwa, there was a saying older than the palace walls. The man who has nothing, owns everything the greedy man fears. But nobody believed that anymore. Not in Aduwa. Not under the reign of Oba Danladi, a king so consumed by wealth that he had forgotten the first duty of a ruler. To protect his people. The market of Aduwa opened every morning with noise and color and the smell of palm oil and roasted yam. Women spread their wares. Children chased each other between the stalls. Drummers played at the entrance to welcome buyers from neighboring villages. But at the far edge of the market, where the ground was uneven and the shade was thin, sat Emeka. He had one mat, one clay bowl, and whatever the morning was generous enough to bring him. "Brother, take. I have extra today." He looked up. A fish seller, a woman with kind eyes and a tired back, was holding out 2 dried fish. "I cannot take what I did not earn. You carried my baskets last Tuesday. Consider it payment." He looked at the fish for a long moment. Then he bowed his head. "God will remember you." She smiled and walked away. She always did this. So did the yam seller on Fridays. And the old pepper grinder who saved him a cup of water on hot afternoons. Emeka had nothing. But somehow, he was surrounded by people who gave. The king had everything. And he only took. Oba Danladi sat on his throne of carved ebony, his robes heavy with gold thread, his fingers ringed with stones that caught the light. Before him knelt 3 men. Farmers. Their hands were rough. Their eyes were low. "My king, the harvest tax has been collected. But the rains were poor this season. The people ask if the tax can be reduced just this once." Oba Danladi raised one hand. Silence. The room went still. "Was it my fault the rains were poor?" "No, my king." "Did I control the clouds?" "No, my king." "Then why are you here telling me about rain?" "Collect a full tax. Every grain. Every coin. If they cannot pay, take their land." "My king, if we take their land they will have nothing to farm next season." He stood up slowly. When Oba Danladi stood, the whole palace held its breath. "Are you questioning me?" The man pressed his forehead to the floor. "No, my king. Forgive me. Full tax. By the end of the week. Now get out of my sight." Emeka was walking home, if you could call it home. A small hut at the edge of the village, walls patched with mud and dry grass, a roof that argued with the rain every wet season. He passed a woman sitting outside her door, crying quietly. "Mama Titi, what happened?" "They took my goats, both of them. Said I owed tax from last year and this year together. Both goats. Both. And if I don't pay the rest by Friday they will take my house." Emeka sat down beside her. He had nothing to give. No money. No goats. No influence. So he did the only thing he could. He stayed. Until she stopped crying. That night, something woke Emeka. Not a sound. Not a voice. Something deeper than sound. A pull. Like a hand on his chest, gentle but insistent, drawing him out of sleep and through his doorway and down the path he had never walked at night. He followed it. The path led to the old Baobab tree at the center of the valley. The one the elders said was planted before memory. The one children were warned never to touch after dark. Emeka stood before it. The air was different here. Heavy and warm and ancient, like breathing inside a story that had been told 1,000 times. Then the light came. Not fire, not moonlight. Something older than both. It rose from the roots of the baobab slowly, silver and gold together, and it took a shape that was not quite human and not quite spirit but something between the two. Emeka did not run. He did not speak. He simply waited. "We have been watching you, Emeka. Who are you?" "We are the ones who were here before the kingdom, before the king, before the first stone of the palace was laid." "Why are you speaking to me?" "I am nobody." "That is why we are speaking to you." A long silence. The light paused like a heartbeat. A kingdom is not its palace. It is not its gold. It is not the man who sits on the throne. A kingdom is its people. And its people are suffering. We have watched every man of means in Aduwa. We have tested every elder, every chief, every man with power and connection. And they all failed. They chose themselves. Another pulse of light. Closer now. But you, Emeka, you had nothing and you still gave. You had nothing and you still stayed. You had nothing, and you were still kind. Emeka felt something move through him. Not fear. Not pride. Something much quieter than both. "What do you want from me?" "We do not want anything from you. We want to give something to you." He looked up at the light. The kingdom of Aduwa needs a new king. And the ancestors have made their choice. Nobody could explain what happened. The palace drummers woke before dawn on the 3rd day and found their drums playing themselves. The royal python, the sacred serpent that lived in the palace shrine and only appeared at the coronation of a true king, was seen crossing the market square in broad daylight, moving in the direction of the village edge. People followed it. It stopped at Emeka's door. By the time the elders arrived, a crowd had gathered. By the time the chief priest arrived, the crowd had become the entire village. And by the time Oba Danladi heard the news and came storming out of his palace in fury, Emeka was already standing at his door, calm, the sacred serpent coiled at his feet, and a light in his eyes that had not been there 3 days ago. What is the meaning of this? Danladi's voice shook the morning air. This man is a beggar. He is nothing. He owns nothing. He is the one the ancestors chose. The chief priest's voice was quiet, but it landed like a stone in still water. The sacred python does not lie, my king. You know this. Danladi looked at Emeka, then at the serpent, then at the crowd, hundreds of faces, watching, waiting, many of them people he had taxed into poverty, people whose land he had seized, people whose goats he had taken. He saw something in their eyes he had never seen before. Not fear, not submission, hope. And it terrified him. The transfer of power in Aduwa was not done with war. It was not done with blood. It was done the old way. The way the ancestors prescribed. The chief priest placed the royal staff in Emeka's hands. The elders poured libation. The drummers played the song that had not been played in 20 years, the coronation song of a true and righteous king. Oba Danladi stood at the back of the room, stripped of his robes, stripped of his rings, stripped of everything the throne had given him. He waited for punishment, prison. Instead, Emeka looked at him and said something nobody expected. You will stay in Aduwa. You will not be harmed. But you will live as the people you harmed have lived. No palace, no servants, no gold. He paused. Maybe then you will understand what you took from them. The rains returned. Not because of magic. Because the new king removed the taxes that had broken the farmers and let them tend their land with whole hearts again. Because he opened the palace granary, Danladi's hoarded grain, and fed every family that had gone hungry. Because he sat under the old Baobab tree every week and listened to anyone. To everyone. The poorest man in the kingdom became the greatest king Aduwa had ever known. Not because the spirits gave him power, but because he had already proven, long before the midnight, what he would do with it. They say the Baobab tree at the center of the valley still glows on certain nights. Silver and gold together. The elders say it is the ancestors, watching, satisfied. And they say that if you sit beneath it long enough, you will hear a whisper older than memory. The man who has nothing, owns everything the greedy man fears. Now you understand what it means. This is the story Baobab, where Africa's oldest voices speak to the world's newest generation. If this story moved something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you are new here, subscribe. The Baobab has more to tell.